Good morning, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, YouTube. So it's at that time of year again. Autumn is upon us, and go through this lovely little village here in Buckinghamshire. Sherrington, this one is. It might even be in Bedfordshire. I've got to check up on that one because we are right on the border here. But great place to see autumn colours. It's a lovely old village. Lots of trees starting to turn. Another 3 or 4 weeks, this place will look stunning. But autumn is just part of the life cycle. Everything dies off, everything finishes, and it's the start for new life in spring. So, you know, spring lambs, Easter bunnies, all that kind of thing. Animals come out of hibernation and everything starts again. And we always take for granted we're actually going to see this cycle happen, especially when you're in the younger side of life. Now, I'm in my late 30s, so I'm not young, but I'm not old either. But something happened. Well, I say something happened. Well, it did happen. About 2 weeks ago now, as this is recorded, so probably 3 or 4 by the time that this video gets out, which kind of showed that the life cycle isn't taken for granted. Now, I went to school with a lad, well, obviously loads of kids. I was school age, you know, but I went to school with a chap who were really good mates when we were kids. We were absolutely best mates. We did everything together. There was a group of about half a dozen of us all really close, but there was sort of 2 that were really particularly close, and this lad was one of them. And it turned out we kind of lost touch after middle school a bit, as you do, but then of course with social media we found each other and got back in contact. And it was good to just sort of catch up where we'd left off. And it turned out, to my astonishment, he was actually now considered one of the top authorities in the world in his field. And it's like, wow, you know, amazing. I didn't even know it existed. He was an expert, as in a global expert, on trainers. Chap's name was Gary Warnett. And of course, in my mind, I remember him as a cheeky little lad that me and him used to fly around on a bumpy lane on the back of the estate, which went up to the next village. We used to go around there on our bikes and around the local neighbourhoods and things like that. And in the interim where we'd lost touch, he had become a globally recognised and enormously respected authority on trainers, the development of which, the design of them, and everything else. And absolutely thrilled to see that it done so well for himself and become literally a world-renowned celebrity. I mean, you can buy Adidas Gary Warnett edition trainers. You know, that's how respected he had been. He'd been an editor of a magazine called Crooked Tongues, and generally was an absolute behemoth in his field. And you know, we've been in contact, and it never changed him. I mean, the few times we sort of spoke via social media, absolutely never changed a thing about him. He was 100% down to earth, and he was the normal guy he'd always been. And I'd always wanted, since we got back in contact, I'd wanted to get back in touch with him and we'd go out and have a beer. And I kept meaning to send him a message, say, oh, come on, let's go and have a beer, you know. And you always kind of put it off because we're both 39 years old. And I had a phone call out of the blue from another friend of mine a couple of days ago. And it started off as a general, fairly social call, but I kind of had a feeling that wasn't the only thing he had phoned for. He said, oh yeah, also the other reason for my call, I've got some terrible news. He said, Gary Warnett's dead. And it just hit me like an absolute baseball. I was like, well, what do you mean? It's like, that's not possible. He's on social media, and he's 39. 39-year-olds don't die. And it wasn't even an accident or anything like that. He died from complications to do with pneumonia. And it was an absolute hammer blow. I mean, I just couldn't believe that someone in the prime of their life would die. And it made me think, I give a lot of consideration to making sure I have a comfortable future. My parents have done very well for themselves on very typical incomes. I mean, they've not earned huge sums of money, but they've been incredibly efficient with it and incredibly successful with it. So they've got a really good, really nice retirement. So they live comfortably. It's only in a modest house, but they drive a modest but nice enough car. They live a nice life. They don't worry where the next meal is coming from. Everything's worked out really well for them. So that's what I'd want for myself, and who wouldn't? And so I do I started thinking I'm paying more into a pension now, and I'm thinking about house purchases and things like that, because I think owning your home, if at all possible, is the key to a good retirement, because you can't, on a less restricted or less viable income, and you're going to have a slight drop in income, you don't want to be paying rent all your life. So really, home ownership, I think, is going to be important and instrumental to having the sort of retirement my parents have had and are currently enjoying. So I was I've been putting money aside, and I'm paying more and more than I need to into my pension. I'm just trying to position myself for a more comfortable retirement, because I am aware at 39, if I'm on a 30 year mortgage, I need to start paying it fairly soon. And equally, if I'm going to get anything worthwhile out of my pension, I also need to be paying into that one quite aggressively. So where my career is starting to improve and I'm earning more now than I was a few years ago, I'm trying not to alter my lifestyle to suit, I'm trying to alter my future plans to suit, which I think is wise. It's difficult. Buying a house is very difficult on one income in this country, but it's on my radar. I know I've got to do it. But that's also by the by, because basically the thing that Gary's death reiterated to me, it's a funeral that's going to be, I think, very, very tough. It's going to be a very difficult funeral, but I'm going to go and pay my respects to him. And I do regret not catching up with him. That's a regret I'm going to take for a long time. And I think what happens is it's easy to get too wrapped up in the future to remember that the future is not promised, it's not assured. You do not know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. You simply do not know that. And it's not even, right now I'm on a motorcycle, which is obviously a high risk thing. Something could happen. I don't know if this engine's about to lock the back wheel up and throw me into a head first and break my neck. It's incredibly unlikely, but it's possible. And I know that, and I accept that risk. The risk is probably 1,000,000 to 1. The engine's running sweetly, the bike's well built and maintained, and I'm a relatively experienced rider. Yes, things absolutely can go wrong, but it's, I've managed that risk. But the important lesson there is you don't totally mortgage the present for the future, because that future's not assured. I do know I have today. I have right now. So I'm enjoying right now. I'm out here riding a bike, which is something I love doing, through some lovely countryside, and I really do. There's a couple of chaps there going out with metal detectors. Perfect example. Engaging in a leisure activity. And leisure activities don't need to be expensive. They don't need to cost you a lot of money. But I think it's super important to get the most out of every day, because, as Gary proved, just a normal illness that anyone can contract at any time can lead to complications and be the end of everything. So I think the best way that I can honour the memory of my childhood friend and respect all the good times we had, and all of us group of kids that were in that Scots School Parkwood in Bedford group, and there was loads of us, we were all good mates, and the best thing we can do to honour and respect that memory is live for the future and plan for the future, but never forget the present, because you do not know when it's over. So there you go. It's sort of a gloomy topic, but also not a gloomy topic, because the net result is extract every inch of enjoyment out of every day you can. And it's easy to think, well, it's just a work day, I'm just going to work, it's boring, I don't want to be there. But think of it like this: you're saving up the fun tokens, without the work, without the job gives you security, which is peace of mind. That's a pleasure in itself. Be grateful you have a job if you do, and if you don't, good luck in finding one. They are out there, just keep ploughing away. But I think the positive attitude is absolutely critical to enjoying yourself. And when you sit and think about it, in any situation you are in, the bottom line comes down to, whatever that situation is, it could be worse. Every day you're breathing can't be that bad a day. So don't worry about it, enjoy it. Life isn't too bad, but you never know when it's gone. So don't totally mortgage the present on the promise of a future that may not happen, because you may never get there. So there you go. If you like these videos, they won't all be miserable, gloomy topics, but this video is not going to have adverts on it, just as I just don't want to have anything commercial attached to that, so this one's going to be advert free. But yeah, if you like these videos, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you soon.